which quarterback battles are too close for you to make a call on right now? Also, how far can you throw a football? The answer to the second one is it depends on altitude and time of year. The answer to the first is a little more lengthy, so let's dive in here. Let's go to Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, and this is just quarterback battles that I think are still up in the air. I don't think there's an answer right now. Haynes King is rehabbed. He's back from injury, but Max Johnson is in the mix there. I kind of went back and forth just when I spoke to people during the spring about who I thought was leading. And the answer is I don't think there is a solid leader in the clubhouse. I had a little bit better feel about Max Johnson, just me personally, when they came out of spring. I don't think that's a reflection of what the entire staff feels or anything like that, but I think they're in a good position. I don't think any of them are turned off by where they are because they know they got two options. This is not a situation where you're choosing from the lesser of two evils. Jimbo Fisher's confident he can win with both those guys. So, I'm not going to keep reiterating that 92nd in yards in passing game, 20 yards or more. That's got to improve, and I think he believes he's got two guys that can do it. So A&M's one of them. Stay in the SEC West. LSU, where Max Johnson came from, that's another one. Jaden Daniels came in there through the transfer portal from Arizona State. Some people, I was talking to someone today, still believe that he will ultimately be the starter. Okay, I'm not there right now. I think it's either a Miles Brennan or a Garrett Nussmeier deal. Ultimately, that's where I think it's going to go. Because I think poise, precision, accuracy, decision-making, I think they're going to end up having the edges in enough of those categories over Jaden Daniels. Having said that, I don't think it's decided right now. This is going to be another one to watch. I think Garrett Nussmeier is ultimately a guy who has a higher ceiling than anyone else in their quarterback room right now. But is he there yet? That will be the question they have to answer in fall camp. North Carolina is a place to keep an eye on. I know a lot of you have written them off, but I haven't. And so quarterback here is undecided. I think some people around Chapel Hill may have expected Drake May to just take the job in spring. Most people around the program still ultimately expect him to. I expect him to. But Jacoby Criswell could not care less about what any of you think, including me, because he's still battling for the job. And they each have their own skill sets, so it's not like, a mirror image of each other and let's just, who cares, flip a coin. That's not the situation there. I think ultimately Drake May is going to be that guy, but, I remember, who was that? I remember a few years ago, it was at the very dawn of the Jalen Hurts era at Alabama. And they had gone through the entirety of spring and summer and fall camp, and Blake Barnett was a five-star West Coast kid, and everybody was talking about Jalen Hurts, but they were speaking about him in the same context we're talking about Criswell right now. It was Jalen Hurts is going to be good in the future, but ultimately, Blake Barnett's going to win that job. Why? Because he's a former highly rated kid. He fit the more classical mold of what an Alabama quarterback had been, and he took the field against USC to start the season, and he was rattled, and Jalen Hurts got a shot, and he never relinquished the job. The reason I bring that up is because I don't know how this is going to play out, but I know a lot of people are going to default to Drake May. I guess I need to point that way, that guy. As am I right now. But just because you're going to hear Drake May's name 1,000 times over the summer does not mean every time you hear his name, he gains that much more of a margin on Jacoby Criswell. Doesn't matter if you say his name 1 billion times. It's still neck and neck. So I'm telling you, 2 or 3 series in their opening game will be more valuable than any preview magazine season or any segment we do on this show, because this isn't football. Nothing's happening right now. We're just talking in lieu of having football in front of us. This stuff could change on a dime. That's how close some of these races are. So this one right here is one in particular I'm keeping an eye on. Next up is Auburn. I did not leave spring overly confident that they have a guy they can just definitively look at and say, he's going to lead us. That's going to be a guy that we can win with. But they're only out of spring. They have not gone through fall camp yet. Zach Calzada has not even really gotten to work himself back into the rotation because he's coming off injury. So maybe Zach Calzada is that guy. Robbie Ashford just got on campus like 10 minutes ago. Just went through spring. Maybe he's still that guy. TJ Finley, they know, for better or for worse, what they have in him. I have no clue which direction this is going to go. This is probably the most up-in-the-air quarterback battle of all of them that we're talking about. I have no clue which direction this one's going to go. I just know that whoever wins that job is going to have to come a pretty good ways before you're watching Auburn and you're saying, they got quarterback figured out now. If the rest of these pieces fall into place, they'll be pretty good. There's a little ways to go before they can say that down there. Some other teams you just keep an eye on, because I could talk about this all night. Clemson, DJ, Dabo Swinney sounds very confident. Are we as confident in DJ Uiagalelei as Dabo Swinney? I'm not yet. He knows more than I do about his program. Michigan, Cade McNamara, J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy did not have the surge in spring that some people expected. Doesn't mean anything because both of them are going to play. So Michigan's got a very workable first month of the season. So you'll see both of them. I think that's a quarterback battle that's pretty unique in that Jim Harbaugh does not have to have it figured out by week 1. He'd like to. Maybe he even plans to. They are one of the teams that can afford to take a battle into the season and probably not risk an unexpected result. Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner and Drew Pine. Tyler Buckner is thought to eventually be the favorite there. Some injury concern with him, but overall, I just want to know the level of play I'm going to get from him. Jackson Dart and Luke Altmaier at Ole Miss, still neck and neck. So kind of the same way with North Carolina and Drake May. You're going to hear people assume Jackson Dart's going to take the job. I do too. I assume he will. Has not happened yet, though. Still got time. Hasn't happened yet. At Texas, I'm not talking about them as much as some other folks are, because even though it wasn't decided in spring, it will be decided. I think that's going to be Quinn Ewers' job. It will just take a couple of weeks in the fall, but I don't think if you had truth serum injected into that coaching staff, they believe that's going to be a battle until week 1. I don't think they believe that. So those are some quarterback battles to keep an eye on. You've got to stay updated on that. I know it's only one position, but it is the position. You got to stay up to date on that.